Day 10 started with packing, bags out by 8 a.m., breakfast, then departing the ship at 9. Throughout our stay, the cabin staff would leave daily towel art, starting with a pair of hearts. Then whatever this is, I guessed a rabbit. So I decided to learn the craft and left them a tortoise, hence starting the playful competition. They made a bear with his little buddy, I made an elephant. They made a flower, I made a lobster. They startled me with a mummy wearing my own shoes, so I made a dinosaur sitting in water. They made a monkey, then an alligator, so I gave them crabs. The first site of the day was the Unfinished Obelisk, which is in the northern region of quarries within Aswan. An odd prerequisite of this site is a 15 to 20 minute video about how the stones were quarried with dolerite pounding balls. Once that's over, you can walk through the quarry, which has a designated pathway to keep the traffic flow moving in one direction. The guides directed us up to this landing, which is basically a demonstration area.
I won't leave before you finish. Very, very sensitive small tools. And that tool, like here, they depend on the pressure. They say we are holding like this, and we do this, okay? So with the small tool, or the small dolerite piece of stone, how they do this? No way, unless they have very advanced tool. Even iron, using iron chisels is, which I can tell you it will happen. Dynasties developed, and the Arabs also did great work from hammers and iron chisels, but it's still not the same perfect like the pre-cataclysm stuff as we explained before. Number two, and the most important thing, is the tool itself, the effect of the tool. And this, you know, in the homicide crimes, okay, what is happening that the expert or the doctor, they can tell what kind of tool killed, a gun, 6 millimeter or 9, or a knife with a sharp blade. How? Each tool leaves different mark, or certain mark. And no tool is doing, and no two tools doing the same mark. So the same like here, when we send the picture and the mark to the experts, they say, no, this is never. This is crushing the stone. I can crush the stone and I can make it split. And when Dr. Sheikh said, if you listen carefully, to give perfect smooth sides, okay? This piece, we will see it from above. When you cut something, do you care about what the piece you cut or the piece you cut from? The piece I cut, right? So I don't care about the piece I cut from. I leave that job for the other person later. But we're going to see that the wall is perfect, smooth wall. So the machine was cutting this was like a knife cutting pattern or ice cream, okay? And by the way, I'm not joking about this. All the tour guides, we come and we do it. I know it's like 2-3 minutes.
These dolerite pounding stones are comparable to the size of candlepin bowling balls, and you'll find them placed all around the site. While the group pressed on, I backtracked to examine what everyone else walked past. This area on the left, and then this vertical face to the right. As a disclaimer, the words scoop, scooping, and scooped will be overused and abused in this video, but you'll understand why. This square recess caught my attention, and we'll see plenty more of these, as well as the surrounding tool marks. Then I noticed something even more impressive right next to the barrier chain. Due to the elevations, they're really not that visible until you're right on top of them. This is a trench and a deep hole at the quarry. It's a nice square with rounded corners, and you can see those scoop marks. About 2 feet wide scoop marks. When I asked about these holes, I was told they were test pits for inspecting the granite bedrock for veining and defects. I'm not convinced. I could fit in there standing, but it'd be tight. There'd be no room to move my arms, let alone swing around a stone ball. The second oddity was the nearby vertical face, which showed more of the curious tooling marks. This is over the side of a sharp face. You can see more of those scoop marks. Big radius round, big radius corner. Just sections of scooping. Horizontally it looks like this time. On my way to reconvene with the group, I saw more familiar quarrying techniques, telltale signs of the feather and wedge splitting, as well as grooves left by a hammer and chisel. Then the look of rock shelving which remains after material's been removed. A few staircases and a couple "where did you disappear to" questions, and I was getting the eagle view of the unfinished obelisk. The story goes that this obelisk was ordered by Hatshepsut, possibly for Karnak, but as cracks appeared, it was abandoned. Not repurposed as statues or other building blocks, just left as we see it, still attached to the bedrock. It used to be permissible for people to walk on the obelisk, by way of this OSHA-approved rock bridge, but it's been blocked off and the Guardians didn't take kindly to anyone venturing beyond the chains. Size is estimated at 138 feet and 1,200 tons.
And cannot go like 10 minutes or even 5 minutes. What was the average height of the Egyptian? Let's say the ancient Egyptians, according to their mummies, were the same body like us, the same height, okay, regular size like we have nowadays. They were not giants.
I can't imagine doing this work with a dolerite ball, but I've never tried, so I really can't dismiss the idea. I would expect the tooling path to be running the length of the trench, like swinging a pickaxe and having the room to do so, but instead they run the width of the trench and continue up the wall. The ridge down the center, and the fact that the grooves are misaligned at that location, lead me to believe the cutting or carving stroke started at the top and stopped at this bottom ridge. If it weren't for the rounded bottom surface, as well as the rounded corners, I'd be inclined to say this was done with a mini excavator.
We'll stop the sliding this box or this thing. So here we have a huge or big wall, about 2 meters high. So how they drag this and will go over this wall? To maneuver, yes. You have to maneuver with the obelisk. Now way out we're going to see another obelisk, smaller, but also
This is the big unfinished obelisk.
here is my story.
Vertical
this
scoop.
because I always say who were doing this obelisk. According to the movie, they said they stopped by because the crack happened. Okay? Why they didn't take the other half? Building statues or pillars or anything. Because a piece of junk is easy for them now, but it's still hard at a distance. So what happened? As I always say, the workers went for lunch and never come back.
To clarify, Mohammed and Dr. Shock were pointing out that the obelisk is landlocked and in a pit. So what was the plan to get it out? Remove all the material on one side and drag it out? Lift it out with ancient cranes? Flood the area and float it out with inflated animal bladders?
The other thing, get the
Up towards the top of this big unfinished obelisk is another one of those vertical shafts. Square, the entire width of the pit. Looks like it's scooped right into the earth with a giant ice cream scoop or a spade shovel. You just see scoops on the walls and then in the floor. Now that my eyes are fully peeled, I'm finding the vertical shafts all over the place. This is going to sound crazy, but what if these were sockets for ancient tower cranes? Or used in sets like hoist cranes? More recesses, or the beginning of shafts? And this carved area right next to the obelisk, which is what remains from the prior project. right next to the obelisk. Some really huge scoops. It's a little platform here. Here's another look at the grooves on a vertical surface. And then the ground where material's been removed. Kind of looks like the blocks were just taken out with a snow shovel. It's the entrance down there. You wind your way up. Staircases. Around. You check out this obelisk, and you line up some more staircases. Up and around to the second one. It turns out there's more than one unfinished obelisk at this site, but the large one gets all the attention. The second is near the exit, and climbing into the trench is actually allowed. At least it is when tips are involved. And of course the walk was full of additional quarry marks. Tons of chiseled holes for the wedge and feather technique. We use steel in modern times, but water-soaked wooden wedges would also work. Rock outcrops. Another recess. And then as soon as I saw that second obelisk, I dove into that trench. How was this done? Dolerite pounders? Some kind of stone softening technique? Advanced ultrasonic tooling?
Sorry, what were you illustrating?
Scooping under.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, it's okay.
It's a little bit better on this side, actually. Deeper.
I can't see what I'm doing.
So you've got a primer up on that boulder that looks like it's falling in there.
Up here, so totally scooped. Tons of scoop marks on this second smaller obelisk, totally undercut.
It's a long way down. Long way down, long way up. Big.
Scoops come down the wall at an angle. And then connect with a trench.
Yeah, there's a pattern, lamination.
Undercut.
This is a Egyptian vertical type of.
Scoops in floor, wall, undercut.